Rule 1 of 9. Here is Rule 1 of 9. Did you know that as a U.S. citizen, using your stronger European passport to enter the States is actually a federal offense? It sounds like a handy travel hack, but under Section 215 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, it is illegal for citizens to enter or depart the country without a valid U.S. passport. This is found in 8 U.S. Code Section 1185. Layla, a 29-year-old web developer, found this out the hard way at Madrid-Barajas Airport, MAD. She was heading home to Chicago, ORD, and presented her Spanish passport at check-in, thinking it would be simpler for her Iberia flight. The agent scanned the document. Then he stopped. He looked at Layla. Her heart began to race. A second agent was called over. Suddenly, a simple flight home felt like a criminal investigation. She was pulled into a side room for 2 hours while her flight boarded without her. The fix is simple. Always present your U.S. passport when traveling to the States. Even if you hold dual citizenship, the government views you as their citizen first. Look at the U.S. State Department website regarding dual nationality for confirmation. If your U.S. passport is expired, go to the nearest embassy for an emergency replacement. Do not try to use your other book. Reality check. While you likely won't end up in a jail cell for a first-time mistake, you will almost certainly miss your flight and face intense interrogation. Layla eventually made it home, but only after paying a heavy fine and a $900 new ticket. Stop. Passport issues are just the start of the airport gauntlet. Next, we look at how your digital footprint can block you at the gate. Rule 2 of 9. Here is Rule 2 of 9. You should check your passport details right now before you even think about heading to the terminal. Ethan, a 42-year-old software developer, was standing at a kiosk in San Diego International Airport, SAN, for his British Airways flight to London, LHR. He used his U.S. passport to book the ticket, but it was expired. He thought it was no problem. He scanned his valid UK passport instead. The system rejected him in 0.5 seconds. The database saw a mismatch between the digital booking and the physical document. Ethan felt his face flush as the line behind him grew longer and more frustrated. Here is the fix. Your booking data must match your ID exactly in the airline system. If you have dual nationality, pick one passport and stick to it for the entire journey. If you realize the error before arriving at SAN, update it in the airline's mobile app under Manage Booking. If that fails, skip the kiosk entirely. Go to the full service counter 3 hours early. A human agent can often manually sync the documents, but it takes time and patience. Ethan got through, but the verification process took 45 minutes. Reality check. Systems are automated for security. Agents usually try to help, but they cannot ignore a data mismatch. Politeness is your best tool when the computer says no. Ethan made it, but barely. But that was just the start of his journey through the high-tech gauntlet of 2026, where scanners and rights collide in ways you might not expect. Rule 3 of 9. Here is Rule 3 of 9. William, a 53-year-old accountant, stepped off his long-haul United flight at Houston, IAH, clutching his leather passport wallet tightly. Inside, he carried 2 distinct identities, a blue U.S. passport and a red one from his second country of citizenship. He figured that if things got complicated at customs, he could simply switch documents like a character in a spy movie. But as he approached the primary inspection booth, the officer's expression remained stony. William reached for the red passport, thinking it might expedite his transit. The officer didn't even look at it. "Sir, you are a U.S. citizen," the agent said flatly. "In this country, that is the only thing that matters." This is where many dual nationals feel that sudden, heavy wave of helplessness. The problem is a legal principle called master nationality. When you are in a country where you hold citizenship, you are legally viewed only as a citizen of that nation. Your second passport does not grant you tourist status or special diplomatic shielding. In fact, if you get into legal trouble in Houston, the consulate of your other country likely won't be allowed to intervene. You are effectively under the total jurisdiction of the local laws, with no international backup. Stop. This isn't a secret trap, but it catches thousands of travelers off guard every year. To navigate this, the fix is simple. Always enter and exit a country using the passport of that country. If you are a dual citizen of the U.S. and the U.K., use your Blue Book at Houston, IAH. Don't try to get clever to avoid lines. Keep your documents organized and understand that your extra citizenship is temporarily paused the moment you cross the border. Reality check. This is standard international protocol designed to prevent jurisdictional chaos. While it feels like you are losing a layer of protection, you are actually just following the procedure that keeps borders moving. William cleared customs once he presented the correct ID, but the airport was about to get a lot more high-tech. Wait until you see how 2026 technology is about to change everything you know about privacy. Rule 4 of 9. Here is Rule 4 of 9. Have you ever felt like the airline is actively hunting for ways to take your money? Julian, a 34-year-old photographer, was at Washington Reagan National, DCA, heading to a well-deserved vacation. He had his standard carry-on, the same one he had used for 5 years. He had already checked the metal sizer. It fit perfectly. But as he approached the American Airlines jet bridge, a gate agent pointed to a small floor tile. It was not just a tile. It was a high-precision weight sensor hidden under the carpet. The agent looked at a tablet and frowned. Julian's bag was 2 pounds over the new 15 pounds limit. "That will be $75, sir," the agent said coldly. Julian felt his face flush with heat. He was not just annoyed, he was furious. It felt like a trap. The airline was not just checking size anymore. They were stealth weighing every passenger in line using new sensor technology. Stop. Here is the reality of 2025 travel. Budget and legacy carriers are testing these pressure plates at gates to catch overpackers where they least expect it. To beat this, do not just measure. Weigh your bag at home with a digital scale. Aim for 3 pounds under the limit to account for sensor variance. If you get caught like Julian, do not argue. Wear your heaviest jacket or stuff your pockets with your chargers and book. Items on your person do not count toward bag weight. Ask the agent politely if you can consolidate items into your personal item. Often they will allow one quick adjustment if you do not block the line. These sensors are becoming more common at hubs like Washington, D.C. While agents have some leeway, the digital readout makes it harder for them to look the other way. Julian ended up wearing his heavy sweater and avoided the fee. but his peace of mind was gone. But bag fees are just the beginning of the gauntlet. The next move involves how you handle the authorities themselves. Rule 5 of 9. Here is Rule 5 of 9. Over 200 million travelers have had their faces scanned by TSA biometric systems, and by 2026, it will be the standard across every major U.S. hub. Harper, a 31-year-old teacher, stood in line at Nashville International Airport, BNA, at 10:15 a.m. She watched passengers stand 6 feet from camera pods, staring until a green light flashed. Harper did not want her facial data stored in a government database. She felt the pressure of the line, a sense of just get it over with, hung in the air. Stop. You have a choice. Here is the fix. When you reach the podium, tell the officer clearly, I would like to opt out of the biometric identification. This is a voluntary program for U.S. citizens. You do not need a medical reason or a special excuse to keep your privacy. The agent will scan your ID manually, just like they have for decades. Harper spoke clearly and stayed polite. The officer nodded, hit a bypass button, and checked her license without a digital scan. Most travelers assume the camera is mandatory, but your right to a manual check is protected. Expect a small delay. Opting out adds about 2 minutes to your wait time. Be patient. Harper made it to her Southwest flight with her privacy intact. Ready for the next level? Your physical health matters as much as your privacy. This next move prevents a medical emergency at 30,000 feet. Rule 6 of 9. Here is Rule 6 of 9. Prepare your legs for a tight squeeze. In 2025, the average economy seat pitch has shrunk to just 30 inches. That is not just uncomfortable, it is a health hazard. Take Mila, a 45-year-old nurse flying out of Venice Marco Polo, VCE. She sat through an 8-hour Delta flight, feeling the walls close in. By hour 4, her ankles were swollen. A dull ache started creeping up her calves. This is not just economy class syndrome. It is a real risk of deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. The anxiety of feeling trapped can ruin your entire trip before it even begins. You must reclaim your space. First, use a seat map tool to check the exact pitch of your row before booking. Look for exit rows, but watch out, because some of them do not recline. If you are stuck in the back, perform ankle pumps every 30 minutes. Wear compression socks. They reduce swelling by over 60%. Mila started doing these simple stretches every hour, and it changed everything. Reality check. 30 inches is extremely tight. No amount of stretching makes it a first-class suite. However, moving your feet prevents the most dangerous risks. Mila made it to her destination without the pain. Now you have secured your physical health. But what about the mental game at the border? The next move could save you hours of questioning in a windowless room. Rule 7 of 9. Here is Rule 7 of 9. Lily, a 27-year-old architect, stepped off the bus near a mountain crossing. Her goal was to cross from Montenegro into Serbia on foot. It seemed simple enough. 2 booths, 50 feet apart. At the first booth, the Montenegrin officer stamped her out without a word. Then, the real trouble started. Lily reached the Serbian booth, but realized she had grabbed her friend's passport by mistake during a frantic bag check at Frankfurt, FRA, earlier that morning. She handed it over anyway, not noticing the mix-up in her haste. The officer frowned. Lily froze as the realization hit her. By handing over a different passport than the one that just exited the previous booth, she had technically committed a border jump. In the eyes of international law, one person left Montenegro and a completely different person was trying to enter Serbia. This was not just a simple mistake. It was a potential legal catastrophe that could lead to deportation or a multi-year ban. Stop. Here's the fix. If you find yourself in a procedural trap like this, do not try to talk your way out with lies. Lily immediately admitted the mistake. She showed her digital boarding pass from her Lufthansa flight to prove her actual identity. Most border agents are looking for consistency, not a reason to arrest a tourist. Reality check. While agents often allow a correction, technical jumps can lead to hours of questioning. Always double-check your documents before reaching the window. Lily eventually cleared the mess after 2 hours of intense stress. That was a close call. But wait until you see the next travel trap involving your basic rights during a delay. Rule 8 of 9. Here is Rule 8 of 9. Did you know airlines are often required to inform you about compensation rights the moment a flight is delayed? Take Nora, a 36-year-old journalist at Philadelphia International, PHL. She watched as her 6:30 p.m. Frontier flight turned into a 10:30 p.m. delay. The agent pointed to a QR code taped to the desk. "All the info's there," he said. But the airport Wi-Fi was dead, and Nora had 0 bars of service. The code would not load. It is a classic move. They follow the law on paper, but bury the facts behind a digital wall. Stop. Do not rely on their links. Ask for a physical statement of passenger rights. Airlines usually keep these printed under the counter. If they refuse, do not argue. Instead, have the airline's contract of carriage already downloaded on your phone before you travel. Look for terms like Rule 240 or involuntary changes. Mentioning these specific terms tells the agent you know the DOT regulations. You are no longer just a frustrated traveler. You are an informed advocate. Now, a pamphlet won't fix a broken engine. Agents are often stressed and might not know where the papers are. Nora eventually secured a $15 meal voucher by staying calm and referencing the rules she had saved. It was not much, but it beat starving while staring at a dead QR code. But wait, this was just a delay. What if they try to kick you off the plane entirely using a logic you never saw coming? Rule 9 of 9. Here is Rule 9 of 9. Did you know that nearly 7% of all airline revenue comes from fees that travelers could easily avoid? Chloe, a 25-year-old marketing manager from Austin, learned this the hard way at New York JFK. She thought she was being clever by using the hidden city hack. She booked a JetBlue flight to Boston, BOS, with a layover in New York because it was $500 cheaper than a direct ticket. Her plan was simple. She would land at JFK and just walk out of the terminal. But Chloe made one critical mistake. She checked her large suitcase at the start of her trip in Austin. AUS. Stop. She did not realize that bags are strictly tagged to the final destination on the ticket. When Chloe landed in New York, she waited at the carousel for over an hour. Her bag never appeared. It was already being loaded onto a plane for Boston, over 200 miles away. The final destination rule is absolute. If you try to skip a leg of your flight, your checked luggage will not stay with you. To make this work, you must stick to a carry-on that meets the 22 by 14 by 9-inch requirement. Chloe spent her entire 3-day trip in the same outfit she wore on the plane. It was a lesson in regret she won't soon forget. Most airlines now use automated tracking that makes short checking almost impossible. Stay smart and keep your bags within reach. This concludes our guide to outsmarting the system safely. The airlines hate that you know this. Hit subscribe to keep winning.